Well, I don't know how you can say that when he's just keeping campaign promises. Let's go to the immigration issue. The border is shut down. No one is coming across the border. 4 years, 12 million illegal immigrants pouring across this border. Within 6 months, Donald Trump has it shut down. That's keeping campaign promises. When does that ever happen in this country?
Is it keeping a campaign promise to say over and over again, you won't touch Medicaid, and then you take $1 trillion from Medicaid? Oh, I'm sorry, and just in the last few days saying this legislation shouldn't touch Medicaid, and it absolutely does? So, is that keeping a promise? That's not keeping a promise. Or is it, I'm going to lower the cost of everything?
I'm happy to get to the big
lower the cost of everything. I'm going to lower the cost of everyday goods, and then you put tariffs on people. Who pays those tariffs? Working class people.
Here's essentially what the Democrats are going to vote for whenever this bill, whatever happens with it. They're essentially saying, let's raise the income tax back up to where it was pre the...
No, they're not.
Yes,
in fact, Democrats have offered amendment after amendment to keep the tax cuts for working class people and just not for the billionaires. And Republicans have voted against that multiple times. That was multiple votes over this weekend where Democrats said, let's do all the tax cuts for middle class people. Let's do all the tax cuts for people under $1 million. Let's do all the tax cuts for $5 million. Republicans voted no on each
Neera,
of those
did any Democrats vote for the 2017 tax rates when they came up the first time?
Of course not.
They did not. In fact, they called it.
In fact,
Nancy Pelosi called it, quote, Armageddon.
In 2017,
she called it Armageddon. Now you're saying they want these tax rates. So which is it?
No, in 2017 they offered. The same thing happened. 2017.
You're whistling past the graveyard on this.
No, I'm not.
You want higher taxes. We want lower taxes.
It's
been that way for time immemorial.
We're fighting for tax cuts for the middle class, and the fact
is, that's what we did.
No, essentially,
you talked about working people.
No, let me say.
What about no tax on tips?
Here's the deal.
Just give her a second. Let her finish the thought. Then you can have a thought, and then we got to.
This legislation takes health care from 17 million people.
No.
17 million people will have fewer people will have health care after this. $1 trillion for Medicaid in order to pay for tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans. You could actually just do the middle class tax cuts and not the tax cuts for billionaires, and just not do the Medicaid tax cuts and Medicaid cuts.
You know what?
And people would have agreed with that. That would have been 67.
We're never going to agree to give.
We're
never going to agree to give Medicaid to illegal aliens.
It's not illegal aliens. It's not illegal aliens.
To let people sit at home, able-bodied people.
You don't have to take me.